What's your impression on how well Doc Rivers is meshing with the Bucks?
It's a great question. Obviously, the record doesn't show or suggest that things are going great so far. But that team was a little wonky even before he got there. And yes, I know the record was great, but there's a reason that they threw Adrian Griffin overboard when they did, despite that record. They just didn't have the long-term faith that Griffin was going to be the guy to make the right decisions in the postseason. A new coach comes in, even a coach of Doc's caliber, it's a different voice, a different philosophy, different style. He's got to learn these players. They have to learn him. I'm not surprised it's going to be a little bit bumpy, and they've had other bumpy stretches this season anyway. So I think it's at least a little bit alarming. That's fair, considering the Bucks have the highest of expectations, but I wouldn't overreact just yet.
And let me ask you this. What are we not talking about? Who are we not talking about that we should be talking about?
Probably the Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, they're having what will probably be their best season, their best non-LeBron season, maybe in franchise history, and certainly in the last 30 years. They've been the hottest team in the NBA over the last month or so. They play phenomenal defense. The offense has really started to click. The concern I think they always had when they got Donovan Mitchell was meshing Mitchell with Darius Garland, and figuring out the Jared Allen, Evan Mobley thing has been a challenge. But they have, with some of those guys out this season, they found a formula that works. Those guys came back. They're healthy now. They're at full strength. And they still keep chugging along. Now, I don't think anybody's expecting the Cavs are going to knock off the Celtics, make the finals, or that they're a threat to win the championship. But they're not that either right now. They're really, really good. And the space behind the Celtics in the East is kind of wide open, right? Embiid is out for at least the time being. The Bucks, as we just discussed, are kind of wonky. The Knicks are really banged up. There's a lot of teams vying for number 2 and to try to be the team that presumably will face the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. And the Cavs are as strong a candidate as any right now. And that's the one I think probably no one's talking about.
Chris?
Hey, Howard. Chris, how you doing, bud?
What's up, Chris?
Two teams in the West are starting to pick up steam, the Warriors and the Mavericks. Who do you like? What do you like about both these teams? Can they make a run and really challenge the top of the West?
It's funny because I think logic says to pick the Mavs between the two of those, but I'm not entirely convinced myself that the Luka Kyrie thing is the right way. It feels like they're just taking turns a lot still as a partnership, and it's they haven't been together that long. But I don't fully trust that, and I do tend to have a bias toward the team that has the track record and that has Steph Curry and that has still a little bit of that allure and that mystique of a dynasty, right? Like we see it over and over again. Just when we want to write them off, you have another game like Steph had last Saturday, which, was incredible in that shot. And they've caught a little bit of traction again here with Draymond back for the last few weeks. And some of their young guys are starting to pop. I think there's still some life left in the Warriors. I'm not saying they're going to make a run to the finals necessarily this spring, but of the two of them and Dallas, I trust the Warriors more.
What do you make of the scoring? I mean, there was that one week where we had 260s and 270s. Is it good for the game? Is someone going to get 80 this year? What has been your read on all of that?
It's really interesting. We strain in this league all the time, media and fans do, to try to make these comparisons when we're talking about the GOAT or we're talking about, the 73-win Warriors team versus the 72-win Bulls, or all these comparisons across the eras are inherently fraught because the NBA, I think more than the other sports, evolves so much. The pace of the game, the style of the game. And the tempo right now, the pace of today's NBA game is so high by historic standards, plus the reliance now on the three-point shot, it has just spiked scores, and it has spiked individuals because we're also in an era where we have what has been referred to as heliocentrism, right? You take your best player and you make him the center of your universe, and you just say, do everything. And so you have the ball in your hands more often and more opportunities to get 60 or 70. So it's hard to wrap your head around. And I do think it's kind of warping our historical perspective on the league a little bit statistically, but it's also a blast to watch. I mean, I don't think anybody's complaining in the moment.
No, absolutely not. And it does feel like Luka's kind of the guy, right? Who could get, we could see an 80-point game this year?
I mean, he is the epitome of heliocentrism right now, Luka. James Harden previously, during his Houston days especially, where every single Mavericks possession, it feels like, even though they have Kyrie Irving there, who could do a lot of amazing things with the ball in his hands, Luka controls that offense, it seems like 99% of the time. It's either shooting or passing. And he's also, yes, very, very skilled and can score in a variety of ways. And yeah, like if someone's going to threaten 80, it could be him, but maybe it's Donovan Mitchell. Maybe it's eventually Anthony Edwards. Like there's a lot of really talented scorers in the league right now. You combine that with the pace of the game and how many opportunities they get, the 3-point shot, getting hot for a night. It seems like almost anything is possible, but I'm going to just say, no, I don't think Wilt's 100 is ever going to get touched.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.